Welcome to Software Pulse, building Java desktop applications. And in this session, we're going to take a look at using the java.util.timer class alongside the java.util.timerTask class. Now, why would you want to use these? Well, the reason why I want to use it is because I want something to happen every so often. Every so often, I want this task to happen. So I'm looking at building a timer task that will do the task and using the timer to make it run every so many seconds, hours, minutes, whatever you want. So let's take a look at what we've got. In the sample I'm presenting here today, what I'm trying to do is just build a countdown, something that counts from 10 down to 0, and that's it. So I've got a countdown timer class that extends this timer task, and that requires us to override this public void run method. And in this run method, this is where all the actual work is going to be done. And our counter is quite simple. All it does is it prints to the console the current value of the counter, then it decrements the counter by 1, and if the counter is less than 0, then it will cancel this scheduled task, so it will no longer be scheduled after this point. So once it gets down to 0, there are no more scheduled calls to this task. We've got a private property called counter, which is of type integer, and then we've got our constructor that takes an integer, and that sets our initial counter value. So that's what our task is all about. So how do we use our task, or how have we chosen to use our task? So to start off with, I've created a couple of public static final, they could have been private static final values. One is a long, which is a value, number of milliseconds, and we're going to use that for the interval between making subsequent calls. So every 2 seconds, we're going to make a call to our task. And we're going to start our count at 10. So start from 10 and go down from there. So that's what those two values are doing. So if we come down here, what we do is we're going to create an object of countdown timer called TimerTask, and we're going to set it to the initial value of 10. Then we're going to create a timer. Now we could have gone timer and put the words true in there so that it created it on the daemon thread, as per this comment up here. But I'm not going to. And then I'm going to schedule the timer to run this timer task starting at the current date and time, so as in starting now. I could have used the value 0 instead. And I want it to run every interval period, which we've already set to 2 seconds. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run this and we'll see what we get. So a 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The code should now run to say don't schedule anymore, and it doesn't look like it's scheduling anymore. So we think we've got it done. However, there is a problem. And the problem is the program hasn't ended. I can tell because this red stop here for terminating the program is still enabled, which means the program is still running. So whilst it's not calling the scheduled task anymore, the timer must still be running. So I'm going to force it to stop. And that's what I want to draw your attention to say, watch out for this. So what you might do is you might think, oh, I'm going to cancel the timer. There we are. I'll cancel the timer. That will do the job. So now when I run it, it terminates straight away. because it calls this, and then it just immediately goes on to call this value here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out this timer cancel, and let's run this through the debugger to see what's happening. I've put a breakpoint over here on this class so that I can stop the code and we can have a look. So you can see I've already got the 10 out there. And what I'm going to do is this is going to run through doing 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now if you just look here, we've got our timer thread here, and it's got a countdown timer run, a timer thread main loop, and a timer thread run. Okay, now when I go 0, and then this time, all of those threads, all of those objects have stopped running, but these threads are still there. So the timer is still running, and hence the destroy Java thread is still running as well. It finishes running the tasks, but it leaves the thread open. So if I put a cancel in place, all that's happening is it's killing the main thread. It's killing the thread that launches it, and therefore any sub-threads are being killed off as well. So just putting timer cancel in isn't going to work. But what we could do, and it's not terribly elegant this, and I'm doing it simply for my counter example. It probably wouldn't work for many other types of thing you want to do. I'm just going to demonstrate the point. I'm going to put the current thread to sleep by the same amount of time, so the interval times the number of counts, by the same number of times that the schedule is going to go round. So they should both finish round about the same time, and then we can do this timer cancel. So if I run this now, we get our 10, our 9, our 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there we are. It's got down to 0, and our program has now terminated. And it's finished. And we've closed off everything nicely. So I just wanted to share that with you. When you're using your timer with your timer task, just be careful that you tidy up closing off. You keep the thread open while the timer's running, and then you tidy off closing off the thread when you're done. That's it for today. We took a look at the java.util.timer class and the java.util.timer task class and how they work together and how you can schedule things. And we also took a look at the problem you have to watch out for the different threads finishing at different times. Hope you've enjoyed it. Look forward to seeing you on the next video.